These are the parts that I'm going to use to install the 12-foot buddy heater hose. I will be literally disconnecting the existing propane line from the furnace. I will be screwing this end into the furnace. This end here will have this T go into it. The existing gas line will reconnect here, and this new gas line will connect at the top up here, and then this other end has a quick disconnect that connects to the buddy heater, which I'll be showing you later. Each of these fittings is flared. They've got these flared ends here, the nipple end here, and then the flare fitting in here. You won't need to put any sealant on the actual flare, but on the threads itself it's a good idea to put some sort of sealant, and this is actually just a liquid sealant, pipe thread sealant that is formulated for natural gas as well as potable water. And you want to just be very careful that you get it on the threads only, and do not get anything up here, because then that could potentially get into your propane system. This grill is at the bottom of my refrigerator and is how I can access the furnace, one end of the furnace. So it's this grill right here. I'll be removing the grill and showing you the inside. Grill has been removed. It was literally 2 Phillips head screws, wood screws. And let me see if I can show you what it looks like under here. So the refrigerator is above that shelf. That is the furnace. This is the furnace, and that is the gas line that runs into the furnace. And if you can see, I will be splicing into that, or teeing into that line right there. I'll be doing that from the outside because it's easier, but I'll also be doing some stuff on the inside here. This is the side of my rig, and this portion right here is the furnace itself, and I will disconnect or undo these 4 screws and pop off this to get access to the propane. The cover easily came off, and this right here is the other end of the propane line. It's got this rubber diaphragm that seals the outside from the inside, so that if there's a gas leak it can't go in there, or if there's, just to keep air outside out of the rig. But what I'll be doing is removing the silicone around the fitting and detaching that fitting and putting in the T. Not really sure what kind of sealant this is that they used. It came off pretty easily. As you can see, it came off in one big chunk, and it exposed this. That part that you see right there is the hose, and then this is a swivel fitting on the hose, so the hose is punching through the rubber diaphragm here. So next step would be to shut off the propane and then disconnect this. Okay, so I was able to remove the existing gas line, and you'll notice that there's no sealant on this pipe thread. If you poke around online, you'll get 100 different opinions on whether or not you use sealant on pipe thread, on the actual threads itself here. You obviously don't use it on the nipple part, so I don't know. But anyways, I removed the red diaphragm there, and the hose dropped into the inside compartment of the rig. So I went ahead and I brought the hose back towards us here. You'll see the diaphragm here that they're using. I'm going to go ahead and install the T. Let's get some better lighting here. The T onto the gas line like this, and this is a male-to-male coupler, so this will get screwed on this side here. This end will go directly onto the furnace where the hose had originally screwed on, and then that leaves us a T here, which the buddy heater hose, I need 3 hands to do this, buddy heater hose will then connect to the T like so. So again, this part here, this end here where my thumb is, will go right into the furnace. So I just need to assemble everything, and I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of thread sealant on these threads, being very, very, very careful to not get it on the nipple end itself. So I'll show you that in a minute. So this thread sealant that I'm using is sort of like a paste, kind of a toothpaste consistency as it comes out of the tube. So I just went ahead and put a couple of dabs of sealant on the threads themselves, and then you'll just very carefully spread it around. Again, need 3 hands to do this, so I will spread it, and get it as I just carefully spread it around. You don't want to put very much, and definitely if you get any on the flared section, wipe it off. So you want a nice clean flared fitting, and then you will go ahead and I will screw that in, attach that. Alright, I went ahead and installed the first section. I went ahead and did a dry run, putting the hose back up there into its position so I would know what angle this part of the T-fitting would come out so that I can hook the buddy heater up to. So I'm going to go ahead and install this, and somewhere in the process I'm going to have to put the diaphragm back on. I'm going to have to figure out where it goes here. I'm going to install this on there and get back to you. Okay, so the adapter has been added. I've decided that the diaphragm needs to go right about there, and we're going to push it through onto the furnace, and hopefully this all works out. So I'll just have connect this end here back onto the furnace, and we'll come back inside and connect the buddy heater hose to this. But so for now we'll go back outside. Okay, that was fun, and by fun I mean if I never have to do that again, it will be too soon. Man, that was a pain. So I've went ahead and attached that. I got the diaphragm back in there. I'm going to have to throw some silicone right down in there once I've leak checked everything and everything's running. But now we'll go back in and hook up the buddy heater line to the T. Okay, there is the T fitting. You'll notice the T is pointed downwards. It's actually almost pointed backwards a little bit. I had intended to have the T pointed more towards me, but when I was tightening the outside fitting onto the furnace, it rotated, and that's the hazard of doing this by yourself. Fortunately, there's plenty of room here, and I've got plenty of hose on the buddy heater side of things. that pointed straight down is no big deal. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and install the final hose, and there's the final product. So once again, you've got this hose here is the main propane line coming into the furnace, and then I had teed it off, and this slightly smaller hose here is the one that will go to the buddy heater. It's 12 feet long, so I've got more than plenty in my smallish rig, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the installation by turning the gas on and doing a leak check. So we'll show you that here. What I did was I went ahead and turned the propane on. I turned the furnace on and made sure it worked so that it purged the air out of the lines, and made sure that there was indeed propane right here at this fitting. I also went in and turned the buddy heater on, and let me tell you, it takes a while to purge air out of 12 feet of hose, but it did, and I let the buddy heater run for about a minute and then shut it off. That way that we know that there is propane at all connections of this fitting. And so I've got the gas detector spray, fast acting formula. Bubbles form immediately to alert you to danger areas. So what you do is you spray this leak detector at all the fittings. So I'll do the outside here, then I'll go inside and do the inside ones. And if there's a leak, it will bubble. And I don't know if I can do this left-handed. I cannot, so let me switch hands here. And actually get it in picture there, that might help. Anyhow, that's the idea. You want to, it would be really obvious, it would be bubbling if there was a leak, so I'm going to put down the camera and do this to make sure I can actually watch what's going on. I checked out fine. I'm going to go ahead and spray this one, and of course you can't see because of the shadow, but I'm just going to go ahead and once again spray this solution at those, that whole T area, and see if we get any bubble action. And of course, keep in mind that you also have a propane detector in your rig. You never want a leak, but you want to make sure that you've got a working propane detector in case a leak does develop. And also, you can smell propane; it's pretty nasty smelling. But always use the gas leak detector anytime you're working on propane lines, or better yet, have a professional do it. Went ahead and put some silicone sealant around where that other sealant was, and then I will go ahead and throw the cover back on this, and it will be done. And then I'll go inside and close up. The furnace access is all closed up. What I did was I ran the buddy heater line that's teed off in there, just ran it back behind there, and I have it coming out my cabinet. That way I can coil up the line and store it in the cabinet. I may in the future drill a hole for it to come out, but I doubt it. Here's the side of the buddy heater, the big buddy. Normally you'd have a small green propane bottle that would fit there, but there's this quick disconnect fitting back here, and this is the other end of the line. Has this quick disconnect fitting that you simply quickly disconnect. You can see the fitting there, and it's got a shut-off valve inside there so that propane doesn't leak out. And you put it back on, it's a two-handed operation, but you put it on there, snap it on, and your buddy heater is ready to go. And it uses the RV's propane system rather than having the disposable green bottles. Here it is a couple of months later, and what I had originally intended on doing was keeping the buddy heater hose, the propane hose, in that cabinet there and coiled up, and I quickly decided that that was a bad idea, so I ended up keeping it stored here in this big old empty place behind the grate, and I drilled a hole right there, and the heater hose or the propane line comes out, pulls out when I need it, and when I don't need it, it just tucks back in there. For storage, I can actually pop off this grill and make sure it's all coiled up nice and neat in there. And when I'm, in the warmer months when I'm storing it, and when I need it, I just simply pull it out as far as I need it and hook it up to the buddy heater. Pretty slick. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but if you are not comfortable with plumbing, gas lines, hire a professional. This is no joke. This stuff is serious, dangerous, and you can get injured or killed if you mess something up. So please be safe, and if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. Hire a professional.